So came the final day of my adventure at Kuranda, and unsurprisingly, a day every bit as marvellous as the rest. I started off the morning by, well, waking up, yeah, no shit, but aside from that, I kicked off the day with a little wander along Barren River. Night walks might be the most fun, at least as far as bug enthusiasts such as myself are concerned, but even during the daytime there's still plenty to see. This is the burrow of a tarantula, which are supposedly rather common around the area, although I only saw the one. Sadly, I did not get the chance to revisit it at night, which is when I'd stand a far better chance of viewing the occupant. And for a bit of predation in action, here's a Gasteracantha fornicata that has fallen prey to a swarm of Ecophilus smaragdina. How this situation occurred in the first place is something of a mystery to me, given Gasteracantha are orb-weaving spiders that would normally be well out of reach for foraging ants. This wasp wanted nothing to do with me. And this is Hygropoda lineata, one of the more common spiders in the area. So common indeed that I almost forgot to film any until the last day. Now for a less common spider, in fact the only one I saw on the entire trip. A Phrynarachne species, which I probably wouldn't have noticed if it wasn't for the spider's molted exoskeleton hanging conspicuously off the leaf. For humans, being told you look like shit isn't generally something to be received with positivity, but it seems that in the world of spiders, looking like shit can be the key to an easy life. This spider's commendable mimicry of a bird dropping keeps it off the radar for predators, and an irregular smattering of silk around the animal's resting place heightens the disguise. The fecal facade is further augmented by a foul odour, which not only aids the ruse but likely attracts flies, as appears to be very evident in this particular instance. Of course, no Kuranda video would be complete without a night walk, so here goes. This is an Emerald Egretia Mangarafrons that is nearing the end of the molting process, one of two individuals I encountered that night. Their bright pink mandibles may make these katydids look like they were having a bit too much fun with their mother's lipstick, but make no mistake, they are sharp, powerful, and can rapidly inflict crippling damage upon any prey item that the insect decides to tackle. Not quite what I was expecting to see at night, but here's the silhouette if I can improve the lighting. Well, we got another one of the spider world's brainiac maniac, Porsche. Unlike the first Porsche we encountered, this one is a female. And she is right now displaying a characteristic that is very unique among jumping spiders. She has actually spun herself a little web. Not exactly impressive, of course, but when you're the smartest spider in existence, who needs a fancy web? And these strange robotic movements, very typical of Porsche, are an excellent way to mask her movements and hide the fact that she's a spider or indeed a living animal at all. It makes it seem like she's just a bit of debris blowing in the wind. Adultfructospinosa, and obviously the reason I can tell this is adult is because it has fully developed wings. And I think this is a male because I can't quite make out an ovipositor. Got ourselves another Segistidia. I hope I remembered that name right. And even though they're called palm katydids, I think the majority of the ones I've found have actually been on Pandanus. And as is very typical for this species, this is a female. When they reproduce via parthenogenesis, which is most common for these, all of the resultant offspring will be female. When we encountered a couple of males on the previous foray, that was an incredibly anomalous occurrence and possibly represents a small sexually reproducing population. This is possibly the most fantastic example of an orb web I have ever seen. The creator is a species I've featured a few times already. This is Hey, I was complimenting you, no need to run away. This species is Paraxia dehani. Quite a common orb-weaver up here, seems to be like the North Queensland equivalent of Hortifera down in Brisbane. You are a very talented artist. Keep it up, madam.
No, that wouldn't have worked. No.
Very unusually covered Extatosoma tyratum here. This is the spiny leaf insect, which is possibly the most popular pet invertebrate here in Australia. In fact, I'm so used to seeing them only as pets that finding them in the wild is actually a little bit odd. Okay, finally, I have found an adult Nephila pilipes. I've only been finding juveniles for over the last few days. Oh, what an amazing creature, and look at those bright red pedipalps too. Now this spider might look rather dangerous and formidable, and certainly if you're one of the various moths that are flying around my face, then it definitely is. However, for us humans, these spiders are gentle giants. In fact, you know, I'm not going to be up here for the foreseeable future, so I think I'm going to try handling her. A little bit rougher than I would intend, but there we go. I talk about golden orb weavers being clumsy outside their webs, and these big fellows take it to a whole new level. You can pass it back to me now, I'm just going to get some close-up shots. Yeah. And now as you can see, this spider's just moving slowly. She's showing absolutely no signs of defensiveness. So in spite of their admittedly pretty intimidating appearance for the average arachnophobe, these spiders pose no threat to humans whatsoever outside of their exceptionally tough webs being something of an annoyance to anyone heading out into the bush. But my, the way she moves is just so incredibly graceful. And I'm being very careful with her because these orb weavers are not built for walking around outside of a web. Their grip is pretty poor, so I could very easily drop her. Which is why I'm making sure that my hands form the typical conveyor belt pattern which is normally used for handling invertebrates. Now this species is actually found throughout southeastern Asia, so it's not an Australian endemic. And within Australia, they are fairly wide-ranging. They're found from here in North Queensland all the way down into northern New South Wales. However, they're considerably rarer further south. Down toward the southern end of their range, two smaller species of golden orb weaver, Trichonephila plumipes and Trichonephila edulis, tend to be far more abundant. At this point, I just got a ton of footage of random frogs that I might just
compile into like a video, I guess?
Yeah, I don't even know. Another frog here. Maybe a barred frog, but then again, don't count on that. Like, the thing is, look, I'm not an expert on some, in fact, quite a lot of the animals that I'm encountering here, and I'm not going to pretend I am, so you know what? If you're in the comments section and you know better, then feel free to let me know. Every night at this place is just such an incredible experience. I'm going to say right now that if I ever plan another trip to North Queensland, I'll make sure to read up on the local frogs. cause there were so many amazing species up there, and between them all I had practically nothing to actually say about them. Okay, so what we just found here, and no, I didn't catch it, so I'm not going to take credit for it, is, I believe, what's known as a Boyd's forest dragon. Now, apart from that, I unfortunately can't really say much. Lizards aren't particularly my forte, especially species like this in an area that I'm not very familiar with, but I think we can all agree that this creature is just too marvellous not to feature. Let's take a closer look. The species' proper name is Lophosaurus boydii, with the genus name Lophosaurus meaning crested lizard, and the specific name boydii referring to John Archibald Boyd, who collected specimens of these fascinating lizards for the Australian Museum. They are arboreal, often found perched on tree trunks as this individual was, and when approached will typically skirt around the trunk of the tree, keeping it between the lizard and the perceived attacker. Goodbye, my friend. Alright. Oh, and good enough. It's like it never existed. So that brings an end not only to this video, but to the series from the trip as a whole. It was truly a marvellous experience. I got to meet some awesome people and engage in all manner of activities. Some serious and academic, and others, like the snail races, a chance for my cross-country coaching persona to take full charge. Oh, and I also got to meet a fellow at the local caravan park who seemed adamant that Australian possums had been wiped out by 5G. But that's another story. Anyway, here's the playlist of my videos from Kuranda. Hope you enjoyed, feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you all again very soon.